The largest master-planned community in America. The safest city in America, 16 years and counting. A city of innovation, technology, and diversity in the heart of Orange County. Known for excellent schools, peaceful neighborhoods, abundant open space, and abounding business community. Irvine is a top-rated community in which to live, work, and play. A city that was inspired by a vision and planned for success. But how did we get here?
It was one of our cold, raw days, not one of our bright, sunny days. And there was absolute silence among our children. And finally, my oldest son, who was a senior in high school at Berkeley, was planning to go to Davis for college. And he turned to his father, and I've always said I can remember him saying to his dad, "Well, it's all yours, Dad. I'll stay up north." And the rest of us were just really kind of silent at the moment, because I really looked at my husband's face and I could see that he really wasn't seeing what we were seeing. We were seeing just a cold valley out ahead in the dark blimp station, and we couldn't see the mountains, all fogged in. But I could see, he could already see, a campus and a community out around us. So I knew then. I didn't have to ask him. I knew he'd made up his mind.
One thing that I really liked is, because I grew up on a citrus ranch, when the pickers would come and pick, I would wake up to them singing, because they sing a cappella. That happened here. I would just oh my gosh, they're picking. I'd open all the windows and just listen to it.
Friends came to visit us and they had a sports car. I heard him downshift at Barranca because there was a boulevard stop going north on Culver to come to a stop. It was that quiet here.
Our first city hall was right across the street from UCI, and it was right above bar, Jolly Coachman. And so we're probably the only city hall in the whole world that has a bar in it. But anyway, and they had a live band, right? And during the council meetings, that building would shake like this, and the noise would get louder. And the mayor would say, "Bill, go down and turn off that noise." And I'd say, "Okay." So I'd go down there, and I'd talk to the guys in the band and whoever else was there. And obviously, I didn't tell them to shut up, but I just said, we're trying to hold this meeting about this anyway. And we used to have breaks, and we used to serve beer during the breaks.
Before the city vision could become a reality, a plan had to be made. A plan that could fuse a college with a community. A master plan.
I didn't know much about Southern California. I grew up in Northern California, had that normal bias, Northern Californians, about the people in LA. But when somebody talks to an architect, as they were talking to me about having 93,000 acres of undeveloped land ready to develop, of a promise that they had made to the university to build a new town around this fabulous new campus that was going to be built. When you ask an architect, do you want to be involved, there's no more project in the world you can think of that would be more enticing. So I just said, I had a wife and 2 children, let's go down and take a flyer and see what happens.
Well, I think probably the first challenge was how to get a university started on bare ground. And coming down here, there was a great deal of negotiations that had to go on while the Irvine Company had given this land grant of 1,000 acres to the university. There were lots of things that had to be settled, such as what school district they would be in, Santa Ana and Orange and so on, and who provided the water for the campus, water district, lots of things like that. I was surprised because I thought you came and started a university, you just started building buildings and had students come, but there's an awful lot to the preparation that goes into building a campus. So those were the very first things, of course.
In the process of being on the homeowner board, I got to know a little bit about the Irvine Company and the development of the ranch. And I and several of my friends were quite concerned about what would happen in terms of development, in terms of the community structure. If we did incorporate, that was the first question on the ballot, should we incorporate or not? And then the second question was, who would be the council people? If the community voted to incorporate, then the 5 people that were top vote getters would be that first city council. My friends were not all really in favor of incorporation. The county was doing a nice job. We were a little concerned about what might happen if the Irvine Company did control all of the development. I was selected to run for the council on a kind of a, if you vote yes, vote for me, and if you vote no on incorporation, vote for me also.
Despite the contentious election, the vote to become a city passed, and Irvine was born on December 28, 1971.
First city council meeting was held on the UCI campus, and that's before I got here. We had a couple of our council members that were well connected at the university. They knew people over there.
When I became a commissioner, it definitely was in 1971. It was not a developed city, and as the years went on, we began to develop it. It was very exciting because although all of us came from other places, we had a dream about what we wanted our city to be, and it was very exciting because we could, in fact, help to plan and to develop things in the ways that we thought would be healthy for our growing families. I don't know that very many other people have the privilege of helping to plan a city and really see it implemented, and that's a great gift I was given.
So what Pereira came up with was the 10,000 acres was actually the textbook size of a new community, basically coming out of Great Britain, which did a lot of new town planning at that period. 10,000 acres, the ideal city with 100,000 people living in it. If you just go back into the textbooks of Sir Ebenezer Howard in Great Britain, you'll find that was his ideal community. But because we didn't want to build another new town just north of that of another 10,000 acres, or we had 50,000 acres to worry about. We didn't want to have 5 new towns, and we needed to create a water district that served one, and we needed to try to get one unified district for one. It was as much my idea as anybody else's then to expand that. I went to William Pereira, got his concurrence. I went to the university and got their concurrence. But the role that William Pereira, I can't diminish the importance of what he did. Not just what he drew in reports, but his presence when he came to a meeting. I mean, everybody had this great respect for this very handsome gentleman who had a national reputation. And he would talk in visionary ways about new towns, some of which maybe weren't as practical as others, but they were something to aspire to.
I think the most significant thing in my years that we did was the adoption of the general plan in 1977. Every now and then I pick up some academic article or book and they talk about the city being designed by William Pereira. Well, he had nothing to do with the design of the city. He designed or preliminary designs for UCI, not the City of Irvine, and they tend to confuse the two. The initial design work for the City of Irvine was to grow from what was about 10,000, 13,000 people when the city was formed in '71. It was done by Ray Watson and his planning team at the Irvine Company, and by the people here at City Hall, the planning department, Bill Willett, and all of the planners who were working for him, and the City Council, and innumerable public hearings and input on what that plan should contain. An enormous amount of work by the Planning Commission and later by the City Council. And in 1977, we adopted the general plan. You know, it's been revised, but very minor revisions, and generally the plan has been followed, and it's been a very good plan. And I look at that as a major accomplishment during my years on the City Council.
I was a member of the commission when we did the master plan for the City of Irvine. We decided at that point in time we'd better reserve land for a park system for the future city of 200,000 people, and we'd better get the money for it then so we could buy land at a price that would be reasonable for the future development of our city, because you can have a city and houses and streets, but unless you have parks and programs for parks, the city doesn't really have a soul. And so we decided we needed to do that well in advance of all the people coming, and we passed that bond issue, I think, when there were just about 20,000 people in the city. And we bought that land at a price then that is just unheard of today, but it turned out to be good future thinking.
You know, Irvine had a lot of valuable ranch land, and the agriculture was the original thing that the Irvine Company was producing. And we knew it was going to be transformed into a combination of housing, open space, and the question then was how much open space. I think the job that the former city councils did in urging the Irvine Company to set aside the amount of open space we did was remarkable. So I was a supporter of the open space because you have to balance not only the urbanization, but still maintain the natural beauty that this flat farmland provided, along with the rolling hills and in the north area with all of the trees and the agricultural that still exist.
If there is a jewel in the crown of Irvine, it's its parks and other public facilities. I mean, let's face it, when you look at our ball fields, aquatic facility, City Hall.
In 1974, park bond issue was for $18 million, which gave us the money to build University Park, Harvard Avenue Park, parts of Harvard Avenue Park, Bryan Avenue Park, Turtle Rock Community Park, the Rancho San Joaquin Senior Citizen Center, the first one. And so the theater was the last element of that. We built all of those parks, and we also had $2 million for hiking and bicycle trails.
With a plan in place, Irvine would go on to become one of the nation's best places to live, with a nationally ranked park system, outstanding schools and higher education institutions, and a thriving business community. But it wasn't without a few, should we say, hiccups?
We were doing the retirement dinner at Bomber Canyon for Paul Brady. So everybody wanted to do something funny. Well, I'll do anything funny. I think if you're gonna, let's have some fun. So they brought in mayors from the different decades, because Paul had been city manager for 3 decades. And I was the decades of the 90s. Well, the 90s were known for the Orange County bankruptcy. So we had to do something. So Jackie Ellis, who was the president of the Irvine Chamber of Commerce, she came out, she and I had to come out and talk about Paul. She came out wearing rags. I came out wearing a barrel. And it was funny, and I just know that they taped that, and someday, you know, I'll be getting ready to retire from something, and that's going to come and hit me in the face. But that's the kind of fun we had.
We were sitting in a council meeting one night. My son came in the door with blood coming down his face. He was in high school. He kind of walked in the room and he sat down. And turned out he had been in an automobile accident as a passenger. Up at the high school, they hit somebody, and I guess he went into the windshield. And he did, you know, I don't remember where my wife was. She was someplace, but he knew that I was at a council meeting, and it wasn't too far away. So they brought him to the council meeting. So that was memorable in that sense.
The most memorable moment, when I was on the council and I had been mayor, Art Anthony was mayor, and I was at the first chili cook-off as a judge for chili, which I will never do again. The next day I got so sick, I mean, it was just unbelievable. I found out that he was in jail accused of shooting his wife. And I was holding a soft drink in my hand and a clipboard in another hand that I had for this judging of chili. When I found that out, I dropped the can, I dropped my clipboard. I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. But, and then it was just a few months later that he resigned as mayor, and I served out the rest of his time as mayor.
Oh, then we used to every once in a while go down and have a a beer in the Ratskeller and talk. And that was valuable because it took a long time for me to talk to the other side, the other guys, but we got to be friendly, and that was very satisfying through that informal kind of communication. We became involved with the school district, which has a completely separate board, of course, but we got to be friends with them so that we were all working together to try and improve the community. It was exhilarating. Exhilarating.
With their vision and planning for the future, the individuals who helped shape the city of Irvine laid a path for those who would follow in their footsteps. Taking the oath of office and serving our community, today's council members continue the plan for success.
We probably wouldn't be the city that we are today without a master plan that started it all and continues to help guide us. It's a living document, and one of the things that we realized, I think it was last year, was that it didn't have a health and safety component. So it talked about the buildings, the roads, the parks, and all that other stuff, but it didn't talk about individual health and safety. So I think as we're growing and building out, the importance of health and safety of our residents and businesses is going to be key.
I would say without a doubt, and for something like a 50-year retrospective, this is certainly timely, but we're in the middle of a global pandemic. The COVID-19 coronavirus has really ravaged the world and has really negatively impacted our local community as well. And it's something that the City of Irvine has really responded on. I think personally for me, the COVID-19 citywide testing program, it was the first of its kind in all of the county, and I think to this date we've maybe tested close to 40,000 residents and others that work in Irvine that are not residents. So I'm very proud of the fact that I helped lead the effort to get the citywide testing program underway at our great park.
Irvine's at a really unique place. 20 years ago, we were about a third of the size that we are today. And so when we talk about our position within the region, we really have an opportunity to speak to our neighbors and speak to our partners from a place of influence. We're a big deal in this county, and we're a big deal in Southern California. And I know as time progresses, we'll be able to influence a lot of decisions. And given Irvine's history, I know that that influence will really be a positive influence.
The fact that Irvine is such an open city and people of all backgrounds, faiths, all ethnic heritages, all of that, there aren't many cities that have such a thoroughly diverse and integrated community. It just makes it more enjoyable. The fact that it's safe, that people can feel comfortable outdoors, indoors, night, day. These are important features of building a city that really works for people.
I think what sets Irvine apart is the fact that we are a city that's a mix of urban and suburban. We have a city that's a mixed economy. I think that is what makes, at the end of the day, Irvine unique. We've got a mix of UCI, which we have higher education, plus healthcare, plus technology, plus medical research, and a lot of industries within the healthcare sector, all in one city. And then plus our diverse community, and our multi-ethnic, multi-global community. And it really has set Irvine up as a really global international city. And we're becoming not just a brand here in Irvine, but we're literally we are a global brand.
But it's the people here that make a huge difference. I think everyone that has come to Irvine has come for very specific reasons. And those reasons come from being in a safe city, being in a park-like setting, to having the best education. And so I think a lot of that you see within the people that are here.